Good evening, all. We're calling to order the Katuitt Fire District Board of Fire Commissioners. August 1st, 2023, 17:30. In attendance,
Commissioner Six.
Commissioner Pisano.
Commissioner Conley.
Chief Brown.
All right, gentlemen.
Fuck.
Go ahead. Nope. Do we have anybody recording? Okay. Call to order. We did that. Public comments. Any public comments out there, Chief?
1 second, just let somebody in from the.
Yep.
We have nothing in the chat and we do not have any emails.
All right. All righty, new business. We're going to discuss the future building needs and requirements of the Katuitt Fire Department. Any opening comments by anybody? If not, what I'm going to do is ask the chief and the deputy and the rest of his team to put together a fantastic presentation to take us through, talking about the current needs of the fire department and the future needs as well. So, Chief, with that, I will turn the call over to you, or the meeting over to you.
All right, thank you, sir. I'm just going to take one moment here to pull up a presentation and share my screen. All right.
Alone.
All right. So I'm going to attempt to have this take up the whole screen, if I can do that, so everybody can see it.
You trying to go into show mode?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it to okay. Can everybody see that that okay?
Yeah, I see it fine.
Okay. All righty. If only I could see it. Okay.
Yeah, that's like we have it in presenter mode. Like we're looking at it in your mode right now.
All right. Okay. So thank you, Jen Conley, Commissioner Zace, Commissioner Pisano, and members of the public for providing us an opportunity to present a little bit on the station needs for the Katuitt Fire Department. A lot of this work was started by some of my predecessors here. Chief Rude continued under Chief Interim Chief Small. Commissioner Conley has contributed greatly to this, as well as the other two commissioners. I arrived here last year and took their work and added some additional information to it, along with Deputy Chief Clark. So we're going to go through the quick overhead summary of what is going on at the current firehouse and what we would predict as the needs for the future of the Katuitt Fire Department. So a little background on the firehouse that we are now. It was constructed in 1938 from materials that were taken from the former Elizabeth Lowell School. So even when the firehouse was originally built in 1938, it was already with recycled materials, if you will. Some things going on with the firehouse now. Exterior stairs have failed, and we ultimately decided to remove those, and we are just using the handicapped accessible ramp before we invest any money, and we'll look at what the long-term trajectory is for the existing firehouse. The firehouse right now is unable to accommodate modern fire apparatus, and we can look at that a little bit further in the slides. We don't have any treatment. We don't have a treatment area for walk-in patients right now. And again, we'll have a little bit closer look at all of these bullet points in the slides. No dedicated area for personnel decon. The uniform clothing lockers are out in the kind of in the general eye of the firehouse. The existing HVAC system is approaching probably the end of the useful life, and we'll look at that as well. And then we're unable to securely store and protect district documents and vital records, which is currently one of the areas that we're tasked with, even though it's larger than just the fire department's information that we have at the firehouse. So a little bit of background and a little bit more on some of these bullet points. So you can see in the upper left-hand corner, the firehouse from Fran's collection as it showed in 1938. And you can still see the existing structure in the in what we have today in the current firehouse. We added on a little bit at one point in time, perhaps in the 90s, this early 90s, this additional ambulance bay up at the top came in, and that was expanded. On the right-hand side, you can see where the stairs were, and we appreciate the effort of the folks, Captain McNamara in particular, for adding the railing and removing the rotted stairs and making it safe until a final determination can be made on what the future of that access to the firehouse will be. Currently, the firehouse is unable to accommodate modern fire apparatus. The standards for fire apparatus bay doors now are minimum of 12 feet by 12 feet, but what would generally be considered the modern standard is 14 by 14. Our existing bay doors are currently 9'11" high by 10 feet 11 inches wide. On the left, you'll see our newest fire engine 265, which was custom built and designed to fit into the existing firehouse. And when you start engineering apparatus outside of how its stock engineering is done, you're generally driving up the cost of the apparatus as well as your engineering problems into the apparatus that are generally not intended to be there. Even back in 1994, with our second due engine, 263, was purchased and spec'd. It is unable to be fully equipped with all of the equipment that would normally be found on a piece of fire apparatus in this particular picture, namely a deck gun or deluge gun, which is a large water nozzle that would normally be on the top of every fire engine, but when it is on in this fire engine, it won't fit inside the firehouse. And then interior utilities further restrict the overhead clearances. Our current ambulance is 9 feet, I believe, and so it is, once you add the bay door arms and some of the interior mechanical equipment in the firehouse, you're further diminishing that clearance. Walk-in treatment area. So this currently right now, it's not uncommon for folks to come up and ring the bell. Maybe they're on their way to the firehouse, and actually they're on their way to the hospital and they change their mind. They come to the firehouse, or they just don't want to go to the hospital just yet. So they'll come and ask to be checked out. And that's not an uncommon occurrence. In addition, really the fire service is very often one of the primary EMS, if not the only EMS providers in many communities. And one of the expansions of the current EMS programs is community paramedicine, where there's a lot more of urgent care type treatment and services being offered to the community, so that they're not going to the ER, or it's something that maybe can't wait for a scheduled doctor's appointment. So this is really becoming a common model within the EMS delivery system. And anything that we look at down the road should really have that concept, factored into the design as we really look at something for the future of our fire and EMS in the village. So lack of patient privacy, limited ability for community paramedicine, and then it's remote from where our EMS equipment is. So we do have it on the apparatus, but if they're out on a call and I'm there, then I would be getting the EMS equipment out of the apparatus floor closet there that you can see on the right side. So, currently gear and uniform storage, to access the decon is, we have a storage area for the 2 sets of PPE for the firefighters, and the deputy and I would keep our spare set in here as well. And I keep mine in a bag over in the corner of this picture, as there's not enough room in there for the gear lockers. And then piled up high on the top, you can see some of the extra equipment that the folks are required to have. Then down from a different perspective on your left side, same room is the access to where the personnel have to decon. So currently, depending on the level of decontamination, they may have to mostly disrobe on the apparatus floor, come through this area here, and then go through the clean area of the firehouse into that shower that you see on the left side. The locker room, if you will, for uniforms and their personal belongings when you come in to change at shift are commingled in the training and day room area, which is on the right side of your screen. Equipment decon, our self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBAs, are decontaminated on the apparatus bay. And you can see the top right picture is that sink that is wedged behind the fire engine. The extractor, which is the washing machine, the high-powered industrial washing machine for the turnouts, is down in the lower level of the firehouse, and our personnel will exit the firehouse and walk down through the parking lot and bring their contaminated PPE to that extractor, and that extractor is also reaching the end of its useful life as well, and will have to be plugged into capital eventually. Currently, this is the challenges that were mentioned in the bullet point with the HVAC, and it's kind of combined at the same time with the district records. So you can see on the left side, in the summertime, this room floods with condensation, and the crews set up the dehumidifiers. They put the bucket under the HVAC system that you can see there and put a submersible pump in the bucket to pump the water out of the storage room. So in this time of year, we take everything out of that storage room, put it on the apparatus floor, and then the middle picture, you can see beyond that open door, it leads into the picture on the right, which is where the fire district keeps all of its records currently, and we get water infiltration into that storage area as well. So moving forward, based on a lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of the research that has been done by my predecessors, by existing personnel, and industry standards, the future needs for the firehouse would be approximately 10,000 square feet to accommodate our existing fleet. Apparatus bays, that would be the apparatus bays that accommodate modern firefighting apparatus. Private area to provide community paramedicine services and treat walk-in patients. Isolated PPE storage room to eliminate contaminating clean zones with carcinogens. And the NFPA 1500 standard right now is that would have its own separate negative pressure system to remove those contaminants, very similar to the way that we run the exhaust system for the diesel particulate, which is the Plymouth vent system, if you ever hear me refer to that. EMS storage room large enough to meet the needs of the modern EMS agency, and is separate from the currently the EMS storage room is right off of the apparatus bay. Area to properly decontaminate firefighting PPE, and training conference EOC area to allow for meetings and trainings, and in the event of a major most likely weather event, to have a place for fire department leadership and community leadership to meet and coordinate for and with the community. And ideally, we would have a place for the police to come and do some desk work. So after they process an arrest or any of the other aspects of their policing, they have a spot to finish paperwork so that they don't have to necessarily do that in Hyannis at the main police headquarters, and providing them with an opportunity to work here. So obviously part of the needs is, and one of the big questions is where would this go? And a lot of the discussion currently is evolving around our current location, the potential for the school, or a larger question of someplace else. And if someplace else, where would that be in the village? And perhaps more of that guidance and direction will be gleaned out of this meeting and future community meetings. And then location will drive design, and it will also drive costs. It will drive a number of items, whether you start new, retro, existing buildings. Do you have enough of a footprint to keep it single level, or are we in a smaller already built environment where we need to look at a 2-story firehouse? So a lot of those will be a lot of those decisions will be driven by what the final location is determined to be. And a little asterisk on these is these are representative only drawings. These are not actually drawings for Katuitt Fire Department. This is just Google. And with that completes the and really encapsulates a lot of the incredible time and effort that a lot of people have put into it, and more people than myself have put in more time on this. So again, I express my appreciation to them, and to all of you for indulging me with this time. And I'll entertain any questions from the board, or
Alrighty, Chief, great
discussion of
job.
chair.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Thank you, and I'm going to stop the screen share.
Let me defer to Rick first,
Shall keep
as he is remote. Can you just turn that this direction? Just
Oh,
I appreciate it. Rick, any questions, thoughts, comments?
Yes, the first question I have is that in this, by the way, it seems to be an excellent presentation. Congratulations to all involved. What piece is missing, if I understand correctly, the whole issue of entrapment of contaminated runoff from both the decon room and apparatus cleaning. Right now, this becomes particularly relevant, I think, since one of the location options is the old school building, and there's would be very appropriately a lot of concern about the well field. But my understanding was in any modern station, it's either into a municipal sewer system, or there are independent capture and decontamination procedures for runoff, and that doesn't seem to be listed or addressed.
Take it, Chief, please.
yes, certainly. That would be part of the, yeah, I will add that in to this presentation, because that's a great point. And yes, that would be part of that design process when, yes, I don't want to call it granularity, because due to the fragility of our water supply here on the Cape, that really is a high priority issue. So I will add that in.
And that's, I believe that's state law. Any new work of this nature would require a reclamation system to be installed.
Yes, I don't know. I couldn't point to that law, but
Right.
yeah.
But even we had looked at that at one point, so I believe it's state law, but even if it wasn't, that would be obviously something we would require as part of any conversation here. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, sure.
Anything else, sir?
The same question about long-term capital needs. I believe that our existing capital needs table, which is a public document, we would be well advised to update it with a lot of the bullet points that were hit in your presentation with things that we're currently limping along on. If I'm correct, we pretty much exhausted the majority of the money that was available for maintenance of the old station, that special warrant that we got. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think we're down to pretty low amount of money left in that warrant for these things. So I think it's important to move these capital things into that table to make it very accessible to the public in an itemized way with estimated costs and timeline.
Great point.
And if I may, the deputy and I are working on a longer term capital horizon and a little bit more in depth than what currently exists, and adding things like SCBA, portable radios, PPE, and these large dollar items that currently aren't on a capital horizon. And some of them may not even come up in our lifetime, but just for the purposes of really looking at the long-term needs and kind of keeping the surprises from everybody, really, and sticker shock when these things actually come closer to actually needing to be executed on or moved on.
Great.
Right, because even something like what you mentioned with the heavy duty extractor washer, that's a pretty significant dollar chunk, and having it down in an area susceptible to water intrusion probably doesn't increase its longevity either.
Yeah, that is up off of the ground. So, but yes, point taken. So.
All done, Chairman. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Zais?
I have a bunch of questions, not in any order of importance, but so when you mentioned the, I think it was roof-mounted fire nozzle cannon thing, do you have to, once you pull it out of the bay, do you have to essentially affix that prior to every run?
No, not prior to every run, but if we needed it, then it is then retrieved from an outside compartment, put up top, and then carried.
How long does that take?
I'll defer to our expert on 263 if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
She wants to operate, just send someone out there, as soon as the phone. Especially with older 263 trying to run along, especially tonight. It could be a few minutes, if you're good, and then you can actually call out.
So a few, I'm going to say 10.
Probably not quite that long. Should be good to go, but it's one of those things, when you need it, you need it quickly and accurately, you don't need to be messing around with bricks. That's why I kind of think it's hard to set up.
So you can see where I was going with this question about, okay, so does that delay the ability to really, with a great deal of alacrity, get to a call that requires something like that? You got to pull it out, you got to stop, you got to put the thing on, then you remount the apparatus. And
Oh, it's not purely.
right. Okay.
I'm curious, Jeremy, how much does it weigh?
It's probably about 2,500 miles. Yeah, it can be far.
Okay. How many, we've talked about this, Chief, and I couldn't remember your answer to this, but what is the current sort of demand, the number of walk-ins for community paramedicine of any sort that you guys are currently experiencing?
I'm going to defer to the deputy to see if we have that number, but I might have to get back to you on how many actually come in to, it'll be an easy number to run, and,
Okay.
and I can get it for you tonight or tomorrow. And
Just for quick reference, just the last time they worked with 2 walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a judgment type question, it's just the pay. I was getting sense. On the decontamination, I had wanted to follow on some of the question point that Commissioner Pisano was, how do you do this now? So you just wash the trucks and then, you wash the PPE and stuff like that? Is that how I take it? There's stuff that you either put in essentially wash, and then the stuff that you hose down. Yeah. Do we have a system for clearly, well, how are the contaminants sort of contained and managed with the current systems or the current situation in place? Are we collecting water, if you will, from the apparatus bay and or the apron? And if you're washing stuff, what happens to essentially the gray water? It goes into do we have no system like that? Never had. Are you aware of, I mean, can you give us a sense of what the contaminants are that are typical from the stuff that you guys deal with? Something really bad like the backboard went down prior to anyway, bigger thing. You're rinsing down. Okay. Anybody know what the square footage is of the current two locations, where the current station is and the parcel of land next to it? Do we know what those are?
Square footage of the property in total?
Yeah.
Give me a second, I should be able to find it.
Okay, that was the question. And I want to absolutely, while you're doing that, Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I want to underscore Rick's point about getting all we have talked about some of the big pieces of capital that we should
All right.
absolutely. I just want to emphasize that I think that's really important for us to put everything possible out of the presentation we just saw, and in addition to the other things to the forecast. 5-10-year plan.
Absolutely. This is, as the chief indicated, it's been work in progress.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and this has been work in progress for a good 5 years in general, the needs assessment. Right, so what you're seeing here is a lot of, work that's in progress coming together. We've posted everything that's come out. I believe we posted the last presentation that we did to the Civic Association, correct?
Yeah, and
So I believe it's on the Civic Association site. It's not on ours, but I can put it on our
No,
site.
no,
So
it's not a complaint. I just say.
No, not being.
The more that we talk about collectively, okay, these are the things that, modern force needs to have. And the better the public understand what we're talking about.
Don't disagree at all, and I do think we've been doing, trying to do that, including our meeting with the Civic Association this year, where I think the first time ever we did a presentation to let everybody know what was going on. So I couldn't agree more.
Even if it's a paper.
Yes, it's not going to be in acres. Chief is not here. This is our requirement. This is the current land, so next door. Between the two, it would be in this one. I'd have to do some math on and do some, yeah, we're gonna have to get that later.
Okay, I just wanted to get a sense of, I think when the best thing we can do is paint a picture in the minds of folks to say, okay, here's how big the thing might be, and here's the land that we have now, or what.
Right, so we have inside the needs assessment, so that's a different conversation.
Yes, I heard 10,000 square feet roughly.
Right.
That would be based, decontamination,
Correct.
all the things that are in the state.
Right.
And then I wanted to see, okay, so if you had to place that, let's pretend it's a rectangle.
Right.
And put it on, if you're looking at bird's eye, on the land we have.
Right.
How do you locate it?
Right. Right, I have numbers here, but I'd rather confirm those numbers before throwing them to make sure. But
And it's not like,
be happy to bring, I'll tell you what we'll do, for sure, we'll bring those to the next meeting.
yeah,
Make sure we know what those numbers are, and that's a valid question.
And I would also like to know if there's any consensus yet about the number of bays needed in the, I don't know, for the apparatus. So we talking 3, 4, 5?
I think in general, based on the conversations, I'll give my thoughts here, and then Chief, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or Deputy, anybody, I think we're looking probably at 5-bay station to accommodate, you know, what the current requirements are as well, current as well as future requirements. Chief, am I correct, sir?
Yeah, and again, that'll be driven by the footprint that we build on. So it could be 3 double deep bays. It could be 5 single deep bays. It could be a mixture of 2 double deep bays. So it's difficult to say. What we need to do is we need to accommodate 2 ambulances, 2 fire engines, a support vehicle, and then consider what the future growth of the organization could be. So
then I'll ask another question then. So if you had a situation where you had to stack in front of 2 pieces, 2 apparatus, in a bay, that seems less optimal than having a bay for each device / vehicle or something like that.
again, it would be footprint driven because you can run out of both sides of a double deep. If the footprint is correct, or if it's not, then yes, you're stacked and you have one way in, one way out. Then you're truly stacked. So it'll be driven on what the footprint is that we have to.
Okay.
So if I may just, in my thoughts here would be, if you look at what we currently have, we have 3 bays.
Yep.
Right? In the event that we expand it to next door, there's no way to drive through anything. Right? So we have the bays we have and the depth we have. So in that scenario, if we leverage the property next door, then there probably would be 2 bays over there, brought in to the 3-bay system, bringing it to 5. If, as an example, you went somewhere else that had the ability, as Chief saying, to drive through, then it becomes a different conversation. Maybe it stays 3, but it's driving.
And again, so to that point, is it always advisable for the, sort of the feng shui, if you will, to drive out of the barn right to the street, as opposed to, go out of the thing and then make a turn to get to the street? So I'm thinking, right, is that how you would say, Chief? We'd always want to be able to, the shortest route to get going on the run.
Ideally, yes, but it really, again, it would depend on how it's situated. What is the turning radius? Are you talking multi-points to get out of this cornering? But there are a variety of challenges that geography and the built environment put on firehouse design, from building them into high rises in New York City to trying to find a place outside a watershed or within limited real estate here on Cape Cod. So there's a variety of ways to make things fit into the environment.
Okay, let's exhaust the questions that I wrote down.
Okay.
I might have one later, but that's good.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I can shift to a different issue for a second about location.
Okay.
When in the presentation, when we looked at that slide, the third option, other location, was there, and appropriately. But what I was curious about is how, in your estimate, Chief, Deputy Chief, the guys on the floor, you guys know this drill, how optimal for response time and access to major through road is the current location? How wide a radius can we be looking in at the options of an other location before it impacts either to the north, south, well, I guess the south is kind of a short way away, north, southwest in terms of response time and access. Theoretically, we could draw a line around the whole district and say, well, anywhere in there, but there's certainly an optimal zone for response and accessibility. And I just wondered what your thoughts are to that point.
Off the top of my head, we're in a fairly centralized location currently for our response routes. The general area from, I would say, bordering around Lowell Ave, up through the school area, down to School Street, wrapping around Main to Putnam, and that general area, if you can picture that, is probably, that's on all of the, major Putnam, Main school, Old Post, and now those are Old Oyster. Those are the majority of our thoroughfares, if you will, that are going to access the majority of the village, and get us up to the main, up to 28 for leaving the village. So with that being said, that general area that I just kind of encompassed is probably the best area, and we can put additional numbers to that, but this is more of my overall assessment of it.
Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also an insurance formula that comes into play that once you start moving, to a corner of the district, use that as an example, that would have a negative impact on households outside of a certain radius, correct?
There are formulas for the ISO, and I think we'd have to move it pretty far out of, to one end of the district, the other to have that impact. But yes, it is. There are formulas, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So I think what I heard is that it's okay right now where the location is okay now where it is, and the only other location that certainly has been discussed is the school. That would also be okay.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any other location, frankly, that despite the fact that I agree with you for putting it, always have, hey, maybe there's another location, but so right now the current location and the school anyway are great locations.
Yeah, I would, yes, I would agree with that.
All right, Commissioners Pisano, any other follow-up on that one?
Nope, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Zais? Okay, no, all goodness, it's what it's for. So the only comment I'll make is I read in the currents that and I want to make sure we set expectations here. I read in the currents that the fire department was going to come and provide a recommendation on where they'd like to see a station go. We are by no means in a position to do that at this point. The chief has done a fantastic job of outlining what we see as the options. There had been planned to be a study done to the property up in a needs assessment study of the entire village properties. And in my opinion, until that's done, it puts us in a difficult position to suggest where we should go. We're looking at currently whether or not we have an option of expanding where we are to see if that's an option. But the overall view of the environment, of the needs of the village should be considered in order to make that decision.
You asked him for.
Nope, that's
Yeah.
my comment. You want to have a follow-up comment, please?
I agree. I don't think that we're. I agree with what you said. Based on the things that I do have some other opinions. I have an opinion that that where we are feels like the right place for us to be. That's just my opinion. But we're not in a position, in my view, to come to the meeting that is being organized with anything other than what we just talked about.
Great. All right, Rick, any other thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, what do you have available, what monies the department itself has in a warrant to continue our own needs assessment? That,
So
I believe that was all used up, and that we're looking at the needs assessment being funded by the warrant that the Prudential Committee secured for the larger study. Am I right on that?
that's correct. To the best of my knowledge, the department's budget does not have any funds allocated for that assessment. There is, however, to my understanding, funds available from that original warrant for a needs assessment that may be available. And I put quotation marks in that may. I have a call into the engineering firm that has done work for us previously, or done the work previously, to have a conversation with them. As far as, you know, what work had been done, we have met with them once at the site to see what their thoughts are on leveraging that property and making possibly a little bit of a different design to meet our requirements based on the assessment work that's been done. But right now, we do not have finances available directly to us. If we did get to that position, we would be going to the Prudential Committee to seek access to funds.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty, gentlemen, I'm gonna check before we open things up. If you have anything else you want to toss in, Chief, anything?
No, sir.
Okay, let's take a look and take a look if there's any comments in there, but with the size group we have, I'm gonna suggest if anybody, you know, would like to, you know, come on in. Oh,
We do have from Fran,
Fran, do you want to speak up or do you want to just read it?
uh,
Go read it.
okay. I'm just gonna turn this.
Yep.
So I can see it. So just an FYI, from the currents, it was present options and take feedback, quote unquote. The potential committee and the fire and water commissioners will present options and take feedback at the Civic Association meeting on Tuesday, August 15 at
great.
6 p.m. in the elementary school gym.
I misunderstood, so corrected. Thank you, Fran.
It was me, guys. Okay,
Dave.
sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I thought I said.
Thank you.
Yep, my apologies. That was a comment from Dave. Thank you, Dave.
All right. Any other comments out there, Chief?
There are no additional comments. And no
I have something.
emails.
Okay, Commissioner Zace?
So to follow on with the point that you just made, which I know well, is that I have personal experience of people talking to me. Out there talking to people, and talking to me, and there is, in my view, in some people's minds that there is a desire of the fire department to relocate the fire station into that building that is currently, well, you know, the former school. And I think I just wanted to restate what you said, is that that's not what we're going to this meeting to say. Correct. Yeah.
And frankly, I have made several attempts throughout the course of the last year to, on public meetings,
Right.
comment that, well, as in chairman's position and as part of the chairman of the needs assessment committee, to state that we have no preconceived desire.
Right.
We don't know what's out, we don't know what's available to us yet. And frankly, what we need to do is to take all the emotion out of the conversation, set it as a statement of fact, which is the village needs a new fire station. Stop. Where that fire station goes is going to be determined by what we have available for resources. If if the best resource is where the current station is expanded, then that's where we're putting it, in my opinion. If the school, for some reason, school location looks to be the better location and serves the village best, then in my opinion, that's where we should push to go.
Yeah, well, I would submit that one of the obstacles, I think, in the minds of people out there to the conversation around wanting to locate the fire station there has to do with the water. And so I think even if that appeared to be more optimum from a piece of land, that the concern around that issue in the district is going to, I think that's a much harder hill for us to climb than anything else.
So I personally, and obviously Rick can chime in any time he wants. I'm not looking to have any religious wars in this conversation, right? I'm looking to put the station where it's the best place for the village for it to be, right? And, a reclamation system is gonna make impact net zero to the water, right? Even though
I don't disagree.
you disagree?
I disagree.
Well, then you need to spend some time reading and understanding a reclamation system. In addition to that, it shocks me that the same people that think the fire department in that property is doing damage, would do damage, when they have cars and trucks parking all over the field for baseball games, and anything they're leaking is leaking into the water. So it is what it is.
I take your point, and it's not about whether I heard Captain McNamara talk about, okay, right now, the contaminants are not being contained. And if you have a contaminant containment system, great. The issue that I feel is that from an optics standpoint, is accidents happen. No one expected the Exxon Valdez to break apart. It's just because they are mandated or they work. It's the level of risk is much higher, regardless of whether they function properly. It's just because accidents happen.
Understood. And again, my opinion here is, again, I'm just, if wherever it is best for the village, when you make a term statement, this is best for the village, that brings all of that into.
No, and I think that's a great mindset and, lens to look through. Best for the village is not best for you and me. It's best for the district.
Right. And I did make it a point of not saying best for the fire department.
No, and I appreciate it.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I
sir.
think it's also useful in directly to the point the two of you were discussing, our attempt to bring the needs for significant station improvement all the way through to new station began well before the school property was even available.
Yes, it is.
This has been a longstanding emergent issue that happens to coincide with the current status of the potential availability of that property. And we would be derelict if we did not adequately look at that option in your terms for the good of the village, and a big element of which is cost. Because, yeah, the current location isn't bad, but if we can do an adequate redevelopment of that property while simultaneously maintaining service, the cost of that against any other option needs to be put in front of the people so that we get away from emotionally driven concerns and look at simply the best spend for the positive impact on the district.
Yeah, I agree.
All done. Thank you.
Taking the emotion out of this is really important for us. It has to be fact-based.
Absolutely. Okay, Rick, anything else, sir?
Not me.
No.
Do we have any other?
Anybody else?
Any other, hold on one second, I just want to check. Any other comments left in there? Nope.
Nothing in the chat.
Captain,
I think when you look at sites, you really need to think of accessibility. Right now, like you said, there's something hard to see happening. Something happens on High Street. We're dead, we're just saying, we have on the High Street, you know? So having access, like you see most of the parts of town talking about back and doors on the side, and then go different ways. When we get storms and can do it, we're on our own here. So poles came down and we couldn't go High Street, the weekend level. So I think that's a big part of where you're looking to do something. Yeah.
so that obviously lends itself to the school location to go either direction.
Or other.
Or other type location, absolutely, go both directions, right,
Just stuff like that. I don't think.
absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I would really appreciate it. Could you reiterate or just encapsulate the captain's remarks? Because it was completely lost in echo for me.
Yeah,
at
I'm
least.
sorry about that, I'm gonna actually ask the captain to stand, come forward, sir.
Rick, I was just talking about access that we're able to get, like, to go out the backside of our building right now. Right now, if something happened on High Street, we can't go in. And you're like, well, what could happen? I mean, the ground could open up and we could have a water leak underneath High Street and we can't respond to stuff. Or power lines come down, we can't, you know, so. Yeah, I think that's a big part of where you're looking. And I'm not saying it needs to be, I'm just saying where you look, there should be access to the side. Then you could do back and back with bay doors on either side.
So when you say either side, you mean either side of the building or either side of?
Access to two different roads out.
What?
Access to two different ways out.
Right, okay, so like to Main Street and High Street or something, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, understood.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Captain.
Gentlemen, anything else? That was your key. Okay, with that, if there are no other comments,
There are, one just popped up. Oh, we cannot hear, okay, hopefully, Fran, did having Captain McNamara come up, take care of that and. And
Was that?
the comment was, we cannot hear what is being said from the audience too far from the owl. Speaker needs to get closer to the table, and yeah, and my apologies for that. We do have a chair up here now for the public.
but you're all set now, Fran. Thumbs up. You already said? Great, thank you very much. Okay. If there's nothing else, I'll ask for motions.
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
All those in favor?
Pisano?
Says?
Conley. Thank you all. Have a great night. Appreciate you attending.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I just have to get it.
I know, I should check to see where the team stands.